There's one Nazi up on top there pointing his gun down at us, and he interpreted in German, kept screaming at him, drop your gun, drop. He wouldn't do it for some reason, so the captain told me, you know what you gotta do, take care of that punk, he's not dropping his gun. My name is Alan Moskin. I presently live in Nanuet, New York. I'm 95 years old, born May 30th, 1926, in Englewood, New Jersey. Went through the Englewood school system. After I turned 18, when I started Syracuse University, I got drafted like everybody. Every male that turned 18 back in those days, you reported for a physical exam. And if you passed the physical, you went into the Army, Navy, the Air Force. Out of Syracuse, I got my start at Syracuse University in 1943, and then the following year got a draft notice and passed the physical exam and went down to Camp Blanding, the northern part of Florida, for 3+ months of infantry basic training. Now, I was a good athlete in school, and like most of the northern guys, I never had a gun in my hand before. I never shot a weapon before. I contrast that with the southern boys who were brought up, hunting and fishing since they were kids down in the South. So shooting an M1 rifle, which was my baby in combat, by the way, I love the M1 rifle, was new to me, but after a while it's like riding a bike. But I went through basic training for about 3+ months in Camp Blanding, the northern part of Florida. Infantry basic training, you learn how to kill or be killed, how to survive in combat. I lived in a very diverse area. When I was a kid, I never thought about difference of religion or the color of one's skin. When you're a kid, you don't think about those things. We're all just playing with each other and having a great time. And it doesn't matter whether you're Jewish or Catholic or Protestant, or white, black, purple, yellow. I emphasize that because in basic training in the South, I encountered prejudice. I got along with the Southern boys initially that were in my outfit, but when I put a picture behind my bunk, as we allow to put pictures behind your bunk, your family, your girlfriend, I put also a picture. We won the sectionals in basketball, and I was proud of that picture. Myself and 3 colored kids, now called black. I use the word colored. That's the word. We had never heard the word black when I was a kid. I was proud of it, but when the Southern boys saw that picture of me with my arms, holding these colored buddies of mine, they didn't take very kindly to that. This was the 40s in the South, and it was bad. Prejudice was terrible. They called me all kinds of names. End lover was one of the things they put up all the time. Moskin the kite, Moskin the end lover, and I'll never forget that. But I might add, in combat, that stuff never existed. I loved every one of the guys in my outfit in combat. We didn't care if you're white, Catholic, Protestant, Jew, pink, yellow. You just protect my right flag, I'll protect your left flag. Shipped overseas over the Atlantic Ocean, Liberty Ship Convoy. Took us, close to 2 weeks to get across the Atlantic Ocean. Everybody was seasick as hell. I mean, those Liberty ships were bouncing around on the Atlantic Ocean. Everybody was throwing up, going from both ends. It was disaster. Praying to get across and land in Liverpool, England, which we did eventually after almost 2 weeks. Went across the Channel into France, and in France there was a replacement camp where they send you up to the front line to join an outfit, an infantry outfit. And I got sent up to join the 66th Infantry Regiment, 71st Infantry Division, part of the 3rd Army led by General George S. Patton. Our outfit fought in heavy combat against the Nazis in the Rhineland campaign, in the Central European campaign, places like Coburg, I remember, Beirut, Regensburg, Straubing, and those are some of the towns I remember. In every one of those battles against the Nazis, I lost a lot of close buddies, too damn many. If I was 100 meters to the right or 100 meters to the left at any given time, I wouldn't be here. So I guess I was just one of the lucky ones that somebody said maybe God had his hand on my shoulder. But I talk a little bit about some of the horrors of combat. I remember one of my best buddies, TR, from a little town outside Detroit, Michigan. When you're in combat with some guy, you talk about family and girlfriends and sports and everything, and then within 24 hours it's like you know somebody your whole life. At any rate, TR was one of the best guys I ever met. I forget the town, but all hell was breaking loose. If I use the word Krauts or Jerry's, those are the nicknames we had for the Nazis. The Jerry's were throwing in a lot of heavy mortar and artillery. Sergeant Ollie said, hit the hole, that means go down, incoming. I looked to my right, I saw my buddy TR. He was always directing the new guys, helping them where to go, right flank, left flank. The guys were scared. Anybody tells you weren't scared the first day on the front line is a damn liar. Guys are scared, nothing to be ashamed about either. Guys pissed in their pants did worse than that. I remember when the Sergeant Ollie said, incoming, that means more than you could hear it, zoom. I went down, when it let up a little bit, I looked to my right. I couldn't see my best buddy. I didn't like that to start with, and then I ran as fast as I could, maybe 200 meters to my right. And there was the sight I didn't want to see. Know how it is, my best buddy. He was in a sitting position with head against a bunker. And when I got close, I saw his right leg was about 15 feet off his body. It was something, baby. I didn't want to see that know-how. And I ran up and put my helmet under his chin because I didn't want him looking down, going into shock to see what I was looking at. And his insides were all messed up. And I start screaming, medic, medics, medics, damn it, medics, get up here. Even though my heart, I knew he was bleeding out, and I knew there wasn't much a medic could do, but you do things by instinct. And I finally, Sergeant Ollie tapped me on the shoulders and come on, college boy, get your rear end moving forward. You can't stay back with the wounded. You know the orders. Well, damn it, I knew the orders, but I didn't want to leave my best friend die in a filthy hole in Germany, know how, but I had to follow orders, so I left him, and that's not something they ever get over. I've said this hundreds of times, but I still think about it. I had to leave my best friend die in a filthy foxhole in Germany. And then the captain asked me if I wanted to write the letters to his mom, because the officers usually did that. But he knew how close TR and I were. And I remember in the foxhole with a flashlight, toilet paper, anything I could find. Scraps of paper right to his mom, what a great son she had. And I lied a little bit and said he didn't feel any pain, he died right away. Another time I remember all hell was breaking loose in combat, and all of a sudden I feel something hit the top of my head, and I reach up like this and I pulled out an arm. It's a blood-soaked arm, and on the wrist is a tattoo of an eagle. And I start screaming, Wiltsy, Wiltsy. Because I knew Wiltsy had an eagle tattooed on his wrist, and he was going to soar like an eagle when he got home. And now I'm holding his arm. I mean, that shook me up no end. I start screaming, Wiltsy, Wiltsy. I just talking to him 10 minutes before. Now I'm holding one of his piece of his body. And those are things you never forget. You don't get over it. I was a scout, and scouts go in ahead of the main outfit to make sure we didn't get ambushed by the Krauts, and we came under fire from a second floor ledge. The guy was shooting my buddy who was out in the open. I was behind him, up here's a tank, German tank, so he couldn't see me, but he was shooting my buddy. When he came out, I got a couple of rounds off with my M1, made a hit, boom, falls down to the ground. I remember Santana said to me, how the hell can you be so young? You look like 14 or 15. Blonde, blue-eyed, good-looking. Later, not at the time, later realized this young, good-looking blonde soldier, dead soldier, was a member of what was called the Hitler Jugend, or the Hitler Youth. Somehow I realized this guy was going to blow me away if he saw me behind that tank. And I did my job, and I killed him before he was going to try to kill me. I had dreams about it, that I killed this young boy and he wasn't going to go home. And Don't ask me why, but that was one of my nightmares. I mean, I killed my share of Krauts of Nazis, and I was a good soldier, but killing was not something I ever enjoyed, I can tell you that honestly. May 4th, 1945. It's a day I can never forget. A few days before the war actually ended, we came across this concentration camp, Gunskirchen Lager. And I remember the first thing I remember is we liberated a camp of POWs, prisoners of wars, a lot of British, some American soldiers, and they were very happy, obviously, to be liberated. We knew that Nazis weren't crazy about Jews, but we didn't know anything about concentration camps. We heard there was a rumor, and we marched in the forest, and the smell, the first thing that hits you is the stench, the awful, powerful stench. What the hell is that smell? You couldn't breathe. You had to put anything over your nostrils, your mouth. And then I remember seeing up on top this compound villa, as far as you could see, hundreds of meters. Up on top it said, Arbeit macht frei. I knew enough German that was like, work will make you free. But what a bunch of garbage that turned out to be. Very little resistance. There was one Nazi up on top there pointing his gun down at us, and he interpreted in German, kept screaming at him, "Did you drop your gun?" He wouldn't do it for some reason, so the captain told me, "College boy." That was my nickname, College boy. College boy, you know what you gotta do, take care of that punk, he's not dropping his gun. As I said once and said 100 times, when I entered that camp, it was the most horrific sight I've ever seen or ever hoped to see the rest of my life. I mean, there was a pile of skeleton-like bodies on the left, another pile of skeleton-like bodies on the right. And when I say skeleton-like, I mean skeleton-like. Bunch of bones with no flesh. Those poor souls, that's my lieutenant kept screaming out. Oh my God, he says, look at these poor souls, look at those poor souls are alive, were so emaciated. It defies description. I mean, their arms looked like broomsticks. There was no flesh. Their cheeks were hollowed out, and their eyes sunken back into the sockets of their head. They had sores all over their bodies. They had these filthy, I don't know, uniforms, like pajamas they looked like. So he said, the Jewish Star. They must be Jewish, because we didn't know who they were at first. But I was able to shoot out, Ich bin auch Hayud. Ich bin auch Hayud. It's, I am also a Jew, to this Jewish guy that came. When I said I was also a Jew, we saw the Jewish Star, he got so happy. And so I picked him up and brought him up. As he came up, the stench from his body was so, she could hardly breathe. Came up and he was embracing me, and he kept saying, Danke, Americana, Jude, American user, American soldat, American Jewish soldier, thank you, and he was crying. And I felt the tears, I remember, down my cheek, and then I lost it because he was so emotional. And I remember I was 18, I'd seen combat, but this was a different type. And I started crying. It was a scene I can never forget. And then we were ordered to check out the barracks. As far as you could see, thousands of meters, there was like an upper and a lower as you went in there. Whew, you could hardly breathe when you went in there. There were dead bodies all over the place, and a lot of the ones that were alive were sitting on dead bodies, and then I remember, started pleading, help me, help me. Everywhere you looked in the Gunskirchen Lager, foul stench of the dead and the dying. I only wish we could have got there sooner. I didn't speak about what you heard now. 50 years after the end of World War II, I didn't speak about this to anybody. I said, I did my job, I fought on the General Patton, and I changed the subject. And the reason was that I was scared that I'd bring back all those terrible nightmares that I had when the war ended. When I talked for the first time, it was like a purging of all that poison that had been bottling up inside of me. And boy, it came out of me. And since 1995, that's now 26 years, I want many people to know that there was a Holocaust. I bear witness. 40,000 of these concentration camps that all over Europe the Nazis had, and the millions that were murdered and slaughtered by the Nazis. I tell the young kids that I speak to, I said, I want you guys to be eyewitness for me, but you got to remember what I told you. But I want you to tell your children and your grandchildren that you heard from somebody that was there. And mainly, I tell these kids, you got to make sure that what happened back then never happens again. You don't like something, you don't like, but don't say hate. I saw the hate with the Nazis, and I saw the hate with the Hitler Jugend. Somewhere I was speaking, and I got emotional, and I said, to heck with hate. I'm tired of hate. I'm a hugger. I like to hug. Hugging is good. Hate is no good. Who wants to give me a hug? And all of a sudden, the kids, there were hundreds of kids, and start coming up to me. Can I have a hug? Can I have a hug? And we were all, and they put their arms around me, one after the other. And since then, I used that at the end. I said, we're going to learn to hug and not hate. Hugging is good, so that's what I'm going to leave all this stuff. Get rid of the hate. Hug, don't hate.